All right, Wes, thanks for your time today. I appreciate you taking the time. It shouldn't take too long, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on kind of what questions you might ask. I want to start.
I'm not a smart man, so this could go a long time.
Yeah, LeadFuze is like a box of chocolates, but no. So, I'll start a little bit with kind of, won't bore you with a bunch of slides about the company and all that kind of stuff, but do want to talk about why we exist, I think, and kind of where we came from an idea point of view. So, LeadFuze as a software platform, as it sells to the public, this is our third year, so we're a good bootstrap startup. However, we kind of started as a done-for-you lead gen agency. Right, so we were actually doing this for companies, and we were building some software for us to use it better because there weren't great tools out there at the time. And that good old kind of SaaS story of scratching your own itch and then realizing there's a huge market for the software you've built. And so, so about 18 months ago, we went software only. We got rid of the services part of the business, and that's kind of the impetus. And what it comes down to is, I think that there's a huge, you and I are salty old sales dogs. I've been software sales Rob Walling to say I've been selling software for 3 decades, right? But it's not quite 30 years, but 20 something
years. That's true. Yeah, I started in '97, so the '90s, the zeros, and now
90, the 95 for me. Yeah, 95 is the same thing, right? So like 3 decades been selling software, right? So, but in the last couple of years, just the explosion of sales enablement and marketing enablement tools has been great, and that's good. But what we've learned is a couple of things. The easier we make something, the less effective it is sometimes. So, it really comes down to having an understanding of what is the goal you're trying to achieve and what are you trying to do. And so, what our lessons have been as a company is not trying to boil the ocean and really figuring out kind of what we think we can do better than someone else and where we fit into that kind of sales stack. And so I'll throw a couple of, kind of positioning things out there first, which is, this is not a CRM replacement. You still need a CRM. You still need something to manage your sales process. You still need something that once something becomes an opportunity and account management, that kind of things. And it's not really, inbound. So, whether it's HubSpot or Infusionsoft or Marketo, I don't care what you're marketing on, Drip or whatever it happens to be, for inbound leads where you've done permission marketing, that's a separate thing as well. What we want to do is we were talking about outbound, right? So this is about how do I create leads? How do we sit top of funnel? How do we automate as much as possible, but still make it effective, right? And so think of, our goal is to be, we don't want to replace those tools. We want to be a separate tool. And in saying that, I'm a sales guy. I would say it's a sales and marketing tool, but really we're talking about kind of a marketing function. There's always that blur between marketing and sales, but what we want to do is we want to start helping our best customers are a lot of times are agencies, bootstrap software companies along those lines. But what they're really good at is when they get in front of a prospect, they're really good at closing that business. Like they're really good at, they've got a process, they understand, they're experts, they have authority in their niche, they're really good at what they do. They just aren't having enough of those conversations. So what we want to help them do is have more of those conversations. So we want to try to help them.
I always laugh, I talk to salespeople and are like, I'm really great when I get in front of a qualified prospect.
Right. Who isn't, right?
Oh, really? What do you think your job is, Sparky?
Right.
It's to set that meeting.
Absolutely. And, I think the big, what we've just done recently is realizing that, in the kind of the history of our tool, was kind of just the 3 different products. And we'll kind of talk about the difference in our products at the end, but is just more about scale, like how many leads you want per month. But really, that's not what happens. What happens is we have 3 distinct persona types. So one would be someone who has a very dialed in sales process or marketing process, and they just want leads. And so we're going to just help them find qualified leads. Then the second would be kind of generally people that wouldn't call themselves a salesperson. So maybe they head up an agency, they're a small digital agency or even a decent sized digital agency, or they're engineers or they're developers, or, they've got a small SaaS app. And so they're not salespeople. What they want is they want a more automated outreach tool that kind of sits in the background, works as kind of almost a lead utility. And then our third persona are full-time business development people that are part of a team that their job is to set up appointments for their account execs or for other people. And so they have 3 different use cases, and it's understanding of how do they use our tool differently. So I'll kind of show, the 3 pieces of that and how we kind of work together. So without keep on waffling on here, I'll go ahead and talk about the tool. All right. So like all good, again, I've been in software for a while. I've been in sales and marketing for a while. We always want to, some of, technology marketers are some of the worst marketers in the world because they want to say everything's cutting edge and brand new and all the rest of it. The reality is What works is what works. Humans haven't changed that much. The godfathers of copywriting wrote books in the early 1900s, right? I mean, so like that's like 100 years, and copywriting hasn't changed that much. And reality is what we're doing today is good old-fashioned direct response marketing. So in the 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you did this through lumpy mail. You did this through postcards. You sent physical mail to people, and you did it at scale and hoped to get a return on it. And what we're doing here, we're doing the same thing. We're just doing it with electronic mail. But the idea is the fundamentals stay the same. At the end of the day, success in cold email and cold outreach is going to come down to two things: how good a list you can put together, and how effective your message is to that list. And those are the two key pieces. And we want to help you automate as much as possible to save time. But if you get one of those two pieces wrong, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good a list to help you build if you send them horrible emails, right? It doesn't matter how good your emails are if you send them to the wrong list. And that sounds very kind of cliched, or even like, oh yeah, of course I get that. But that's what we see. The biggest two problems we see with users that use our tool or other tools like us are, one, they don't contact people enough. They've got some head trash around how many times they can send an email to someone. But two is they send really poor emails, right? And so poor emails can be one of two things. It can be either the general ones are they kind of turn these into brochure words. They're 1,000-word. They're writing paragraphs, not sentences. These really long, hey, look how wonderful we are. But really what they are is just, a lot of the advice out there is bad too. And it's not even bad. It was good 2 years ago, but it's not good now, right? This space moves so fast because of tools like ours, frankly, and tools like us. It is easier to send email to people. It is easier to send cold email. So because of that, you need to be doing things to stand out. So I'll talk a little bit about how you do that. But here we go. Everything starts with a list, right? So we're going to build a list. So I like to keep things simple. So to me, the only reason you build a list is if your what we call a sequence, or your email copy is going to be different. So you don't need to build a list called Dentist Atlanta and Dentist Chicago and Dentist LA. If your email copy is the same, just call it dentists, right? If that's going to change. In all reality, if you're going to send the same email copy to multiple types of businesses, don't call them dentists, right? So the idea is make it simple, right? Build big lists, because we're going to automate the actual sending to them. But for today, I think dentists aren't a great market, but we'll go ahead and use them anyway, right? So we'll say dentists. So create my list. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find leads, big orange find leads button. So, let's just assume for a second that we sell a marketing service to dentists, right? So we help dentists get more traffic. They spend millions of dollars on this equipment. They've gotten out of a dental school, but they have no idea how to fill up their lobby. They have no idea how to sell, how to run a business. So we are a marketing company that does that. So we help them get more people, more patients. So I'm going to pick a role or function. One of the nice things here is that while it says like owner and marketing manager, you'll see what happens when we actually pick it, but we actually clump titles together. So for example, marketing manager will actually be like chief marketing officer, VP of marketing, or whatever. So it's really, think of their key function they do. So we'll say the owners. We want to reach out to the owners of these dental practices. So industry, I don't even know if dental is one of them. It's not. Look at that. Medical practice, perfect. And then keywords, we're going to automatically put a couple of negative keywords in here. So, negative intern, negative secretary, negative assistant, meaning if those keywords show up in someone's profile, then we're not going to match them, because we don't want the dental assistant. We don't want the secretary. We want the actual dental owner. So let's go ahead and put dental in here. And if we really want to get clever, we can put things in here, which I'll show you later. I've had to look it up, but what dentists call themselves something, DDSs or whatever that designation.
Now, you started typing. Did it delete those negative words?
It hasn't. Those are grayed out. Those are automatically going to show up no matter what.
Okay, good.
Good question, though. So I'm going to go ahead and add dental, and then country, United States. I'm going to pick a location. And like I said before, it doesn't matter, like they're not going to be different contexts, but when you do searches, you're going to have to. And I'll show you why here in a second. So I'll just pick Chicago because it's the first one on the list. I'm going to click search for leads. So this one's going to, good. I got lucky here. So it's going to show me 750 results. Okay, so we want this to be somewhere around that number, like around 600, because Google's going to limit me to 600 results. Like if I have 5,000 here, I'm only going to see the first 6 pages. It's only going to let me see 600 results. So we want to play with this Boolean search up here, which is what you've seen. What we've done is we've just created a Boolean search in Google, right, to actually go out there and look at LinkedIn. We're doing a Google search for owner, founder, CEO, blah, blah, blah. The negative keywords here. Medical practice, dental, right, in the greater Chicago area. We want to site search on LinkedIn. Now, we do it this way because, we want to, this is public available information. right? So one of the things you need to be careful for in this space is if you have a tool that's actually scraping LinkedIn, you're actually breaking LinkedIn's terms of service.
Gotcha.
Like you are actually not doing, and we started there, right? And then, they let us know, hey, we're not happy with what you're doing. And so, we've been working with them to make sure that we don't break their terms of service. Right. So, but so we go ahead and do this search here, and we get it, and you're just going to see here. So, University of Illinois Chicago College of Dentistry. So he's actually a professor of dentistry. Probably not a good fit for our fake persona here of an owner of a dental practice, right? So here we go. Owner, general dentist at Avenue. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to pick the list I want. Dentists, there it is. And I'm just going to add. And I'm just going to add him to the list, right?
Okay.
Going to go down, Windy Cindy Dental.
Now, what is this adding? I mean, typically, if you're not connected to that person, that's going to be more generic info, right?
Well, it is, but let me show you what happens here. So what I suggest best practice is you go down and look at all 100 results and make sure they're actually a good fit, right? And you go one by one and you spend this time. But I'm going to just show you do the Julia Childs here and show you a cake I prepared earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and add all leads just to show you.
Every time I think of Julia Childs, I think of the thing on the Muppets. Remember? Woo! I think I hit an artery.
Yeah. I love that. Cool. All right. So here's what's happening. So we're saying, look, our software is the hard work the software is doing. Something that 3 or 4 years ago I would have a VA do from UpWork or WeWork or not WeWork, but UpWork or whatever it was. But so what we're doing is we're trying to find their information. And we're saying, okay, we're looking for. If I go into, like I said, a previous.
So why is this increasing all the time?
Because it's adding. We're literally polling that directly. So it's actually going and looking this information. Oops. It's going and looking.
You don't have to click each one individually. Your software will pull them in for you?
From that Google search, yes. So on this Google search here, we're pulling their first name, their last name, their title.
So why did you have to manually add?
No, so you manually add because what happens here is because it's a keyword search, for example, like that first example is a perfect example. So this person right here is, the owner for dentistry for kids, but he's a University of Illinois, Chicago. Like this person probably doesn't look great. He's a professor of dentistry, right? So he doesn't own a dental practice. He did own a dental. So somewhere in his profile is owner of dental practice. Because it's a keyword search, it's not saying, hey, this is their current job, right? It's saying at some point they had that. So sometimes there's some misses there. A big one you'll see is, maybe someone's looking for VP of sales for an enterprise company. Then, maybe their previous job, they're VP of sales, and now they're a consultant, or now they're a speaker or an author or whatever it happens to be. So they might not be a perfect match. But so you can do that one by one here, or you can add all like I did, and then in the tool, you can select them and remove them from the list, right?
Right.
And so here's what's happening. So we're going in, and if I go back here. So what you're seeing is, and it's working in the background, but you're seeing across all these different industries, we generally get about a 50% success rate, which means we find about 50% of their contact details. But how we're doing that is, and this is one's working live right now, so it still needs some time to finish, but how we're doing this is we're looking for, we found their first name, we found their last name, we found their company. Then we've gone out and we've tried to find their URL. So in this case, we've actually found their URL, right? Redflyer.com. And then we've thrown the 2 dozen most common iterations at them, right? First name at, first initial, last name at, so on and so forth. Then once we think we found it, we go and double check that against some third-party API providers, Clearbit and Full Contact, and those companies to make sure they found one. And then once we've done that, we then send a dummy request to their email server to see if we get a positive response. If it passes all 3 of those tests, we give it a green, which means to us it's good, right? If we don't, it goes red, right? And we have some that are risky or orange, which means it passed 1 or 2 of the tests, but not all 3. Right? But that's how it's doing it in the background. So that's the first part. We're going to help you kind of build that list of who we think are good suspects. Like I said, it takes, you're going to get, generally depends on industry, titles, yada, yada, but about half. So if you saw how easy it was to add 100 people, you add a couple hundred, you add 500, you should find 200 to 300 of those will give you a valid lead for. Okay. So that's the first piece, list building. The second piece is sequences, the actual emails themselves. You're going to go in here, and what happens is okay, so we're going to, actually, I'll create a new one, make this show you how easy it is. I'm going to create a sequence. I'm going to call it dental owners. And then I'm gonna literally just create the emails. So we're gonna pre-populate here with a couple of templates. I could go on forever why templates are bad, right? So it's if it's a template, it means that everyone else is using it, so it's probably not working that well. But it gives you a good idea. But what the idea here is you go ahead and create a copy here. That the general advice I give people is your emails need to be about your customer or prospect, not about you. So think of the problems they have and what you solve for them, and that's what you focus on, right? And so, you say subject here, right? So, not enough patients or whatever, right? Just something that's going to get opened. Your subject's important, right? It's your headline. But you create that. You're going to write your body copy in here of, hey, in talking to other dental owners, they tell me the two biggest problems are, getting more people in the first time or, repeat customers or whatever it happens to be. Getting their name out there, blah, 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 whatever those are. And then you've got a couple of, you can personalize them with their first name and company, their email, that sort of thing. We're going to automatically track opens and clicks. You can turn that off if you want to. Don't know why you would, but you want to go ahead and do that. Then we're going to add the email. Then the second step is we're going to add a step. Say we're going to wait 72 hours. I'm a little more aggressive than that. I'm going to say I want to only wait 2 days. So I'm going to wait 48 hours before the follow-up email goes out. Click save. And I'm going to add a step. And I'm going to write a second email. And that's going to go out 2 days after the first email. And so on and so forth. I keep on adding those until I have a good 4 or 5 email sequence. Two things I'll point out here. One is we have this new tick box here from steps 2 onwards, which says include previous emails. So what happens is when I have that ticked, my email subject is going to be a reference.
Right.
And because you're using G Suite or Google Apps or Office 365 or whatever your account to go out, it's actually going to show up as a threaded email. Just because we've seen across most industries, you get a better response rate on your second, third, fourth steps if it looks like part of a threaded email of the first email rather than being brand new. Time. So that's going to do that. And then again, you can make this copy whatever you want it to be. And then you're going to add the email again. And then same thing. So, okay, we're going to wait 3 days, maybe between 2 and 3, add a step, and so on and so forth. And you're going to create this email sequence of, we suggest at least 4, right? 4 plus emails is a good sequence. Okay. Generally, again, like just, kind of good back of, kind of think of as, the first one, very, very short. No links. Don't ask for a meeting in your first email. Like you haven't deserved the right to ask for that yet. Like, like your job in the first email is just to show that you understand them and that you respect their time. And the best way to do that is not to say, hey, I respect your time. Like don't stop the weak language in your emails too. Like, hey, know you're busy. That's garbage. Get rid of it. Don't waste those words.
So the idea though, for people who might be confused, I mean, this is outbound. This is because it looks like Infusionsoft. It looks like HubSpot. You've got sequences, you've got merge fields, blah, blah, blah. But this is proactive. You've gone out and looked for people, and it's disruptive, right? Marketing. It's proactive versus this dentist coming to your site, downloading your free report, and then you're dripping on them.
We're Seth Godin's worst nightmare, right? So this is not permission marketing, right? This is sales. So here's my analogy. Look, I love inbound. We do inbound. We do content. We love, we're a HubSpot partner. Love the idea of inbound. Inbound is great. Here's the challenge with inbound. Even if you do it perfectly, if you wait, if the only customers you ever sign up are the ones that come knock on your door, you're going to starve to death. Like that's just generally most businesses. Like you can't just wait for inbound. Like, it's, 10 years ago, maybe when you could have some crazy domain and you had no competition and content wasn't proliferated everywhere. And so, you had that first mover evangelize things, but, content's important. Inbound's important. And our job is to say, hey, no, that's not better or worse. It's just different.
It's like those vultures sitting on the power line. They're like, screw this. Let's go kill something.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. And that's it. You think about it. Like, so inbound's great, but here's the challenge that no tool can fix. And I don't care if you're pro HubSpot or pro Infusionsoft or who it is, no tool can fix that. The only thing inbound works for is when someone knows they've got a problem and they're actively looking to solve it. That's it. Like they have to have both those things. They have to have a problem and be actively looking to fix it. And if they're actively looking to fix it, cool, then they can find you through Google search or through content or through a referral network or an affiliate or whatever that must be. But most of your customers, most of your prospects are not, either they don't know they have the problem and it's your job to help them realize they've got a problem, or they know they have a problem, but they don't think they can fix it, or they're not worried, they're not actively looking to fix it. Right. So you got to have that conversation. So because you're right, it is interruption marketing. You are interrupting them, right? It's a cold call by email is what is happening. So
and the nuance here is these emails, you're connecting to somebody's Gmail account, or I assume it works with Outlook.
Yes, Office 365, yes.
So it's sending a one-off email from your own system. So there's none of this having trouble viewing this, click here, or
Right.
unsubscribe. It looks like a private email that you personally sent to that lead.
Right. So, the best way to not be a spammer is to not send spam, right? So the idea here is you are sending personalized emails to people. You should be building and curating your list of people that you solve a problem for, right? The idea here is not, hey, I've got a million email addresses, I'll hit them all and hope to get a 0.1% response rate, right? It's I'm going to go understand and build the personas I have of my ideal customers. I'm going to figure out who they are, and then I'm going to go out and build lists of people who are similar to them. Right? Yep. And I'm going to go out there and tell, hey, Mr. Similar Persona, I know your problems. I work with people like you all day long. Here's what they tell me their issues are. Here's how they've solved those problems. I'd love to talk to you, see if we can help you solve those problems.
So on those 752 dentists, let's say, that we pulled in, your system goes out and pings, and you said it's about 50% effective, so 350, 400 names or valid emails are found, right?
That's about right, yes. Yeah.
So, say 350. Now, can I have this queued up? And I mean, damn, does it send 750 emails?
Yes, no, not yes and no. So I'll go to the next piece, which is the schedule, which is exactly that.
Okay.
So now I'm going to create a schedule. Right? And what I'm going to say is, okay, I'm going to create a schedule. I'm going to go to list dentists. I'm going to pick the sequence I want, which is dental owners, right? I'm going to say 50. We're going to start small here. And we're going to say, okay, I want to send the same time, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. I want to do it. Now I'll show you what's happened here. So what's happened is, I'm selling this thing Monday at 8 a.m., right? I want 50 brand new green email addresses under the list dentists, and I want to send them dental owners. And then that's going to trigger a brand new campaign. So on Monday, 50 new people are going to get email 1 of this sequence, right? Then Tuesday, 50 new of this list, we're going to get this sequence. On Wednesday, so on and so forth. But now remember, it's stacking, because the way I've done my sequence is 48 hours after email 1, they get email 2. So on Wednesday, I got 50 new, and I got 50 people getting email 2 as well, if they haven't already replied, right? So if they reply, once they reply, we take them out of the sequence. So our thought process is this. We want to help you start the conversation. Once you start the conversation, that's now a sales opportunity. Yep. We're an outbound, that's our job is to help you turn leads to prospects, right? Once they become a prospect, that's your game, right? Now, manage it through your CRM, manage it through your existing sales process. We're not going to try to tell you how to do your job better because, like everyone, when you get a qualified prospect, you're probably good at closing them, right? So, so once they've replied, we're done. Like, they get removed from the sequence, right? Okay. So if you look at a previous list, you'll see that. I think this one here has it. So you look at filters here. So, we'll look at these are the email statuses we track. So not email is pretty clear. We haven't sent them anything.
Now when they respond, am I communicating with them within LeadFuze or within my Outlook or Gmail?
Through Outlook or Gmail. Okay. So so it's going to live there, which is good, right?
So then I could use like my sidebar, right? Like for Nimble or Infusionsoft or HubSpot, and import that person into my tool, and now I can start working them in my pipeline through my normal stages within my CRM. Right?
Absolutely. So I'll show you how it works in the real world.
Woo!
Right. Look at that. So if you go, this is my actual email account here. Right.
All white. Yeah.
Can you see it?
No, it's just I see your mouse moving, but the whole screen is just white.
It's very odd.
Crazy.
Okay. How do I pick the new share? Here we go. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. That's why. Now you see it, right? Okay. All right. So you'll see it's exactly what you said. So let's assume for a second, this was an email from someone back to me. We use Salesforce. So this is a Salesforce IQ sidebar, right? And I've got all their contact details here. I can create a new record, a lead, or a contact for them. I can create a task and all of that because that's our sales process. That's what we already do as our sales process. Right. So we don't want to try to co-opt or change your sales process. What we're going to do is say, hey, whatever your existing sales process is, we want to work with that. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to help you We're going to help you do 2 major things. Discover and build a list of people that match your ideal customer profile, and to automate their outreach to them to try to get them to understand and start a conversation with you. And again, this is about scale. We go back to numbers here. So if you look at kind of our product set and how we break up our products here. If I can.
Now, can a sequence, I imagine it can be paused. Like let's say I send out 50 and I get an overwhelming response, and maybe I have a more manual, more labor intensive process. I'm like, whoa, because the last thing you want is to get people hot and bothered, and then you can't fulfill.
Absolutely. So that's, here you see, can you see the screen here? I'll change tabs, you can see, right? So dental owners, got a pause button right here. Right. Go ahead and click pause and close that sequence down. All right.
Okay.
The other thing to do is you can go into schedules and you can just kill the schedule. And if you kill the schedule, then it's not going to start anything new. Like no new ones will be pulled forward. But the reality is that's not what happens. What happens is the sequence has stopped going out because you haven't been a good little salesperson and added to your list. Because if we do this, right, if you've got that, using our example before, after 7 days of email sending, if you haven't added more than your 350 greens, it's going to go looking for 50 new greens in that list, and it's not going to be there, so we're not going to do anything.
Right.
So the idea is once you've dialed it in, and it might take a month, it might take 2 months to get your messaging dialed in, to really get your ideal customer profile dialed in. Once you've got that dialed in, the idea is the only thing you need to do then is just build the list. Your only job is set a couple hours aside a week to go in and add new people to the list so we can go out and automate the actual starting of that sequence out to them. And that's generally what happens, is that people don't spend the time on the list building piece, and so the sequences stop. So and if you've got a more manual sales process, I would just say generally what would happen would be is I would just, if you are getting great response, more power to you, hallelujah. But then what I would do is I would just slow this down. Instead of going 50 new, maybe I'd do 20 new or 25.
Sure. Okay.
Just slow down, because the idea is to get this right, and it should be a lead utility. It should sit kind of in the background. And so, if you look at kind of the way we break it up in our 3 tools, the way we break our tools up is exactly that. So this first plan, the generate plan, this is all about list building, right? So this is for, you already have a process. You already have a system you want to use. You already are using something that works. Maybe you're heavy on cold calling or whatever it happens to be. And all you just want leads, right? You want new leads. And that's this. What we just went through is more of the middle plan, the automate plan, which is the list building plus the email piece, the actual outbound piece. And then the last is for people who are part of, generally that's their full-time job. So generally our personas would be, this middle would be for that single founder or small team where they maybe have a heavy sales process, but what they don't have a dedicated salesperson. So what they want is they are, as a founder or of the business or a senior person in the business, it's their job to find new opportunities, but that's not their primary gig. That's not the only thing they do all day long.
Right.
What we want to do is get it all dialed in, and so it kind of sits in the background and helps them generate more, turn leads into prospects. That make sense?
Now, yep. Now, when you first started, you pulled up Chicago.
Right.
And so is that kind of how people would do it? Should they pick cities like that, or can it be a broader search?
So the way it is right now, so I will say that we are undergoing some big changes to the tool here in the next month or two, and we're going to add a lot more search criteria to the app. So things like employee size, estimated revenue, things of that nature will be added. And what we're doing right now, we're pulling just metropolitan areas, and that data is coming from, it's coming from LinkedIn's metropolitan areas, what they are. Right. We're actually going to change that to, in the US, it'll be metropolitan area or specific cities. And so, or you can just do all of America if you wanted to do that. Now, obviously, it's going to be too big a list, but and it's kind of one of those things that you've got to be really dialed in. And if you've got a very, very, very niche market in regards to what industry they are and what kind of maybe what title they are, or whatever, what size company and all those things, and you want to be broader nationally, then you don't get so specific. Right. Or if you're much broader in kind of what they do, but you want to focus on a location, then you can be that. But you've got to kind of be specific on one or the other, and ideally you're specific on both.
Right. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So the biggest thing, going back to kind of the differences between the tools themselves, the biggest thing we've learned is it doesn't matter how good a job we do building the software. If your emails suck, you're not going to have success.
Right.
So, we're kind of one of these new, we'll call ourselves a SWAS company, software with a service, in that, we don't want to do outbound lead gen for people like we used to, but what we are heavily involved in now is actually heavily hand-holding our customers. So when you sign up for the automate or the dominate plans, the top 2 plans that include the email piece, we're going to onboard you. So onboarding means not just videos and here's our help center. It means you're going to get a kickoff call. You're going to get 2 of them actually in your first 2 weeks with a live person that's going to help you not just set up the tool technically, but help you figure out the best emails to send. And then you're going to have access to that account manager over your lifetime of being a customer to say, hey, let's take a quick look at what's working, what's not working. Let's maybe change the copy here. Here's what we're seeing. And so, because really, like we said before, if it doesn't matter how good a list you build, if your emails suck, it's not going to be successful, right? And so, we had that expertise of how to write good cold emails, and so that's been our biggest learning lesson of, I would say, 2016 is we need to do a lot more hands-on, and automation's great, and we love the automation piece, but if your automation, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So that's with data, but it's also with marketing message. If that message is not strong, it doesn't matter how good your list is, you're not going to have the success you should have.
Yeah. Dude, I had no idea. I'm glad we spoke.
Nice.
That is awesome. And so where should people go? Do you have a demo or
so if you go to
or something?
The best thing is just go to leadfuze.com, and it's a free trial. Go right here, I'll show you. Just go to leadfuze.com, and anywhere it says try it for free, just push that button. And it's going to ask you to download. Oh, the only caveat I'll give here is you have to be using Chrome right now because it's a Chrome extension that it works. So just make sure you're using Chrome. Go to leadfuze.com, try it for free. You'll go there. Moving forward, like I said, this new version is coming out here like this quarter, like very soon. We won't be using the extension for this. We'll actually be, building the data sets, and there'll be a lot the biggest change will be instead of having to manually look for leads, you're going to build a persona of what an ideal customer looks like and save that persona, and then we're going to serve those leads up to you, and you're going to pick which ones you like.
Nice.
So again, the idea is to add more automation as much as possible, but keep that kind of human touch of us, reaching out and working with you to get it right.
Right. All right. Very cool.
No worries. Thank you very much. The last thing is, I'll take emails. Damien at leadfuze.com. Always happy to answer an email too. So,
All right. And it's Damien, Damian.
It is IAN.
And Fuse is with a Z. So LeadFuze. Typing that in over here, and we'll link to this as well in the show notes and everything else. And then, hey, as you have these new releases and updates, we'll have you back for a little quick update.
Perfect.
All right, man. Damien, thanks for coming on the show.
No worries. Thanks, Wes.